Hey, hey. Welcome to another episode of This Shit's Hard podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Biscuiti.
And I'm Jen, aka Rumblebum. Thank you for joining us.
I mean, every once in a while, but it's normally stories for me. I don't put a post up because then it's up there. But people enjoy when I show my personality through the story a little bit, because if you just look at my page or if you only know me through social media, I'm a very dry, it's just like another dude in the gym. But I think people who know me would describe me as somebody who is like a little bit like there's actually like a personality behind the barbell, and there's more to me than just the sports and the accolades and whatever else.
Jen and I were just talking about that in relation to being on dating apps. And we were actually saying that as scary as it is for women, it must be equally as frustrating for men, because you're completely judged on this, very short bio and the few photos that you chose to put up there. And let's be honest, some of the men haven't figured out the angles yet with the photos and whatnot.
No, but don't men have friends? This is the question.
They have friends to tell them that those photos that they put are not good?
We had a brief conversation about dating apps.
We did.
Are you or are you not a fan of dating apps, Blaine?
I'm not a fan, but my circumstance, I did do the dating app thing for a while because I live abroad and I travel a lot. So the dating app thing, I was like, oh, let me give it a try and see what it's about. And the vibe that I got from it was just, one, people have no clue what they want. And they say one thing, but you're like, if you just think about it, you see somebody's profiles like, oh, I want somebody that's going to make me laugh and care about. It's like, you're not saying what you want. You're just like, do you want a stand-up comedian then as your boyfriend? Because everyone just wants somebody that's everyone just wants somebody that's going to make them laugh and treat them well. I was like, everyone wants that. Just in general, I want my friends to be that way. I don't want to date them.
As a baseline foundation, you should like your friends and like the person that you're dating.
Yeah, you're just naming good qualities of people. You're not naming the person that you want to invest time in and get to know. So the dating app thing for me too, because there was no spectrum. It's either that or they're just they want their life partner, and for me that's also kind of I don't know, for whatever reason it's that's also very intimidating in a way where it's you're looking for someone and you want to spend your rest of the life with all these people. It's almost becomes like a job interview. Where versus my mindset, because I've been single now since last year. I got divorced, and immediately obviously you go through the divorce and you're like, screw all relationships, everything's fucked up. Sorry, I'm curse every once in a while. But
the podcast is called This Shit's Hard.
Cool. So you're like, all right, fuck all relationships, I'm just going to be single and do my own thing and whatever. And then you kind of get out of that phase after time goes by, because you realize it's okay, it's just an emotional reaction to a life altering situation that had happened. And then I started talking to my friends and they're asking me what's the next step? I was like, I'm not actively looking for my life partner, and I'm just living my life. And if something happens where somebody comes along and wants to change my mind, great. But even if I were to look, and I was telling a friend this last night, I had a dinner with a friend, and I was just like, if anything, I'm trying to find somebody, or if something does happen, where I just want to spend tomorrow with them. And then if I do spend tomorrow with them, then if I want to spend another day with them, I'm not going on that first date thinking do I want to spend the rest of my life with this person? Because I'm not going to find that over one meal. So it's just do I want to spend another day is a good way to start. And then it's if I keep wanting to spend more and more days with this person, then there's obviously something there. But when you go into it with the mindset of I'm looking for my forever, then it's like a job interview. You're trying to dig so deep and name your 3 best qualities, or what's something you struggle. The job interview questions where you're just okay, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, no one wants to do that actually. And then it feels a lot it feels like a lot of judgment, because it
Oh,
is.
absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Well, welcome to This Shit's Heart podcast, Blaine McConnell.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
What an intro.
That's a good intro, but also, even though we're not going to like necessarily talk all about, even though I might have a couple of questions about like
your actual profession,
Yeah.
and training.
Yes, go ahead and let us know, and the peoples know.
The peoples,
your accomplishments, who you are, what you do.
Maybe like the highlight reel, your bio for Instagram or for the dating app that you no longer participate in.
All right. So quick, basically have been an athlete for the vast majority of my life. I'm 37 now. So since the age of like 15, I've been doing sports. Was fortunate enough to like parlay that into professional sports and then able to make that into like a career where I coach now. Started off like played college football, played arena football for a year, went into the CrossFit, did the CrossFit Games, went to bobsled, was on the national team for 4 years. I did weightlifting, was national champion for Iceland in weightlifting now. And then like my main thing is just my main thing now is like I do a lot of like programming and coaching. Like my I guess main source of income is my online business of coaching and programming and all that. And then I still do some like in-person classes and do some training and stuff. But I mean, that's a very abbreviated cliff notes of 20 years.
Oh, that's perfect. What type of athletes work with you? Like, are they sport specific or are they across the board wanting to just get to that next level of fitness?
A little bit of both. A lot of, because I have experience in bobsled and it's a very niche sport that I've been able to like understand. I have a lot of people who are in that world that I do their programming and help them out as much as I can. I've got like former athletes that just want to continue training like athletes. I don't work a lot with CrossFitters. I'll work with some CrossFitters developing like certain aspects of their training. So I've been working with like Annie Thorsdottir and Björgvin and them for a while, trying to help them get stronger, more powerful. But I don't do like their CrossFit training and their other workouts. I'm just kind of like a piece to their puzzle. I'm not a coach for them or anything like that.
Okay. Well, thank you for the background. Now we need to get right into the nitty gritty, which
the nitty gritty.
Well, I'm going to tell you, you are only our second podcast guest that has a hand tattoo, and we need to know all about it. Oh,
two hand tattoos and a finger.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, so these are Nordic symbols. This one is Ægishelmur, which means protection. This one is Vegvisir, which is, they call it the compass. So it's kind of like guidance. This one was a cover up. Obviously, I said I got divorced. Don't get your ring finger tattooed. But I then got it covered up. This symbol would be like a symbol that fishermen used to carve into their boats, and they thought it would bring them good luck to find what they're looking for. So I have that now. I don't know if you could see it very well, but it's tattooed onto my finger. So I went the opposite direction. Usually people start tall or start up on the shoulder and work their way down to the hand. I just said, screw it. I'm going to do the hands and work my way up if I want.
Ballsy move.
Yeah. We said this before too. I feel personally like when you are at the place in your life when you can get a hand tattoo,
tattoo,
or a neck or face tattoo, you've made it. You're good. So
I have like
barometer for it. So congratulations.
Thank you. I've got 2 or 3 like in line, and one of them's going on my head. So if the hands were crazy, then the head's going to be even crazier. I'm gonna start back here, and then it's gonna go from like the back of my head down my neck onto like my back, and then it's gonna be in a way where if that was left the way it is, it would look good. But then if I wanted to like add on to it, then I could add on to it later on.
That makes me worried about the pain for you, but obviously you're not worried about that because I've heard that this is like horrendous. Obviously, you don't care.
I don't, well, no, don't care. But also, I feel like I have a strange relationship with pain where I actually have like a really high pain tolerance. And sometimes, like, I've done things just to like, how much is something going to hurt? Just to see if it's going to hurt.
For example,
Trying to think what I've done recently. Not recently. So, okay. So when I was bobsledding, the shoes that we wear were like very narrow and tight. So what I did to make them try to feel a little bit more comfortable is I just like pulled my own pinky toenail off to like, because that's what the part that hurt the most.
Mm.
So it's just like, I don't know why I was like, I clipped my toenails. I was like, it still hurts. And I could feel it was like the pinky toe. So I started clipping it down to the point where it was like, there's not much left here. I'm just going to pull it off. So I just pulled it off, and it felt painful, but it was almost like a weird pain where I was like, that actually feels better. So I have a
Okay.
weird relationship.
That's very
People are gonna be like,
ballerina of you. I think
this dude
ballerinas
is
do that.
insane.
So it's safe to say you won't be using any numbing cream for this tattoo.
I don't even think that would help though. To be honest.
I don't know.
That's not gonna.
No numbing cream. I'll just let it ride. The
Okay.
one I have on my chest, this part here in the middle of my sternum, was very, very painful.
I've heard
Like
that
it,
too.
like it felt like he was tattooing like on my heart. It was just, that was probably the most painful because I have my left side of my chest done. I've got one on my leg, my shoulder, back of my arm, but like this part right here by far was the most painful one.
Which is why I don't have one there. I wanted to get one there, but like, actually, Manders is the one who told me.
She was like, "Don't do that.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself for that pain."
We're gonna call this episode "Tattoos with Blaine."
I like it.
Potentially, we'll see. We'll see where else this goes. But
I like it.
Are you currently in Seattle? Because you said you live abroad, overseas.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long are you in Seattle in a year, and how many months? What months do you spend in Iceland?
Like 90% of the time, 90% of the time is going to be in Iceland. I came back because my brother's youngest daughter was graduating high school. So it's his last child that's graduating. So I came back for that. Plus we had grad party, like slash family reunion type thing. So I try to make it back to Seattle at least once a year. And then when I come out here, I stay for 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. But I have like random trips that I do back to the States throughout the year. So like a week or two here, a week or two there. But 90% of my time is going to be in Iceland.
Great. Yes, when you are also going to be super host for our Iceland wellness retreat.
Yes.
We're already like speaking it into
Yes.
existence.
We've actually already have a wait list. So there's that.
Nice.
We just need to figure out dates at this juncture. And if we could also organize the Northern Lights to show up for when we go there.
Yeah.
When is the Northern Lights? When is that a thing? Because I don't want to pretend like I know. I have no idea. I know it's like dope to see, but like what season?
Yeah. The best time of year is like October. So that you'll still get a lot of daylight. It's not super cold, and you still get enough nighttime hours where the Northern Lights can be seen. But it's also very clear. It's not very cloudy in October, so it's a great time. Like where I live is on like the northern part of the island. And in October, there's nights where I could just walk out onto my balcony and the Northern Lights are just going crazy above my head. Like you don't have to go on a trip to go see them.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Well, you don't.
I don't have to go on a trip. You guys would have to go on a trip for sure.
I'm like, what is June? July, August, September. We have 4 months to plan because no one's trying to wait a whole entire year.
No. I'm also going through my mental calendaring, and I think we should try to make that happen. As a follow-up, we'll circle back
Yeah.
to that.
So how long have you been in Iceland? Do you plan on staying in Iceland?
Oh man, I've been in Iceland 6 years. I moved out of the country in 2014. And then I first moved to Sweden, lived in Denmark for a little bit, came back briefly, lived in San Diego, and then moved to Iceland, and I've been there for 6 years. I'll always have a home in Iceland because that's where my daughter's at, but I will have some variance of like where I'm going to be spending time, especially having an online business that allows me the ability to just work from wherever I want to go. So if I want to go spend a month somewhere or do something different, that's an option now. But home base, and that will always be basically wherever my daughter's at. And as long as she's in Iceland, then I'm going to be in Iceland as well.
Yep, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know you said that you're just kind of newly divorced. I mean, new is relative, but feels
Yeah.
new. So, what is your relationship with your ex, and how has that shaped like what you feel like is good for your life moving forward? Like, are you currently into dating? Because they're going to be asking, right?
So, like, I like to say the divorce was as clean of a divorce as a divorce could be. It just, we got to the point where we knew both of us weren't happy in the relationship. She had found somebody else that she had wanted to pursue a relationship with. We went through that period of time of like we went separated, and then we just realized like divorce is going to happen because for as unhappy as she was, I also was unhappy, and there was no like event where this thing happened and all of a sudden everything changed. It just, with the amount of time that I spent away doing bobsled, like I'd be gone for 6, 7 months out of the year, and then I would come back. So we had both learned how to survive without each other and figure out life as not a couple. So then when I would come home, it's almost like we didn't know how to be that married couple anymore. And you live together as roommates, and that relationship had just changed from what it used to be.
Yeah.
So the divorce was decent. There wasn't any struggles with it or anything. Obviously, it was a painful experience, and it's not anything that either of us had planned or had wanted to happen, but it had to happen in order for both of us to get where we wanted to go in life. But I mean, we're still friends, and like I FaceTimed with my daughter today, and her mom's sitting there, and we're talking. Like everything's amicable between us. And we had said as we were going through the divorce, I had told her specifically, like, I don't care what else happens as long as we remain friends, because that's what's going to be best for our daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And my big goal for that would, more than anything, was I want our daughter to grow up knowing that mom and dad are still friends, to show that just because something may not end up the way that you want it to be, it doesn't mean that everything has to end up being bad and you guys don't have to hate each other. I want her to grow up knowing that if she wants to go do something, mom and dad can both come because they get along. I don't have to have special events for mom and special events for dad. If something's going on, still having them together. So that was my main goal of going through everything, was let's make it as smooth as possible, because the rest of our lives are still going to be connected together because we have this daughter, and we need to be sure that we're as best as we can for her. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're cool. I can sit in a room and talk with her, and we've done family events together, and she's got her fiance and everything there, and nothing's weird, at least on my side. Can't read mine, so I don't know
Right.
exactly how others feel.
That's
But
really great that you can be with the new man's the new fiance,
yeah,
and be comfortable and confident in that space, because your daughter can read that energy. So that's really,
100%.
yeah, that's important, and that's great, and kudos to all of you,
Yeah,
really.
kudos to all of you.
Yeah, that's like an ideal situation, really.
I mean,
Yeah,
like mine too, so it's similar.
Yeah.
We're the same thing. Ari is 5. How old is your daughter?
3.
She's 3. Yeah,
Okay.
Ari is 5, and yeah, me and my ex are amicable.
Mm-hmm.
We still can go to stuff together because same. We want her to not see us fighting or think that like something's abnormal, but we both have respect for each other. We're still
right.
friends. Like I would never badmouth him. He's a phenomenal father. So I mean, it's far and few of what I've seen and heard of divorces going like that. So it says a lot about you too,
Yeah.
as a person.
I think we went through that, and so I've actually been divorced twice. This is number 2 for me. So the first one was I was just really young,
I'm only
and
laughing because I've been divorced twice.
Good job, guys. On a similar track.
yeah.
Wait,
The-
Good job, guys. You're figuring it out, though. This shit's hard, and you're figuring it out.
Yeah.
100%. So
Yeah.
my first divorce was much different. We were younger, so
Yeah.
we had been together for about 5 years, and we were married for maybe one before it just ended. And she cheated and left, and like it ended in a much different way. And there was probably a 10-year period where we didn't even talk. And the way that the divorce ended was we were living in Seattle. We had plans to move to San Francisco. She went down there first because her job was sending her down there, and I was going to come down later. So there was like a 3 to 4 month period where she was down there and I was up north. And I had no clue, but the reason she moved down there is because the person that she was cheating on me with had lived in San Francisco. So she had moved down there for that reason. And so the divorce was all over like email. Like we didn't FaceTime each other, we didn't call each other. Like everything was through text messages and emails. So I just got contacted from a lawyer anytime anything was going on. I had found out she cheated, and I was the one that asked for the divorce. I was like, we just need to end it. And like there was no like face to face thing or anything like my second divorce. It was like we sat down, we talked about it, and we realized, so it was a much different situation. But there was a 10-year period where I didn't talk to her at all. And for probably a good 5 to 6 years, I had very negative feelings towards her. And then when I went through my second divorce, I started doing therapy and doing all that stuff. And for whatever reason, I did a session. I don't even remember what we really talked about in that session, but I left that session. I was like, I need to go reach out to my first ex. And I did. And it's like, I don't even know if you want to talk, but I sent her an email because that was the only contact information I still had from her. And I was like, I don't know if you want to talk. I don't know like where you're at right now, but I feel like we just need to say what's up and air things out and figure out anything. She hit me back a couple days later, and she had been wanting to have a conversation for years, but she's like, I'm so terrified that you hate me that I'd never wanted to reach out. So she was relieved that I did. I talked to her. We FaceTimed for a while. We talked for like 2 hours, just going over everything. I let her know, I was like, look, we were young. We didn't know what was going on. And I have no hard feelings and everything. And now we stay in touch. And I would say that that's a friendship now versus like that's somebody that I used to have negative feelings towards. Mm-hmm. So that also is kind of like been repaired to the point where actual closure happens and everything kind of ended the way that it probably should have ended years ago. But it all happened from getting divorced for the second time and then going through therapy and learning more about myself and figuring things out. Like, this is just a stupid grudge to hold. So I need to go and close that door so I don't have extra baggage coming with me later on in life.
That was going to be my next question, or about therapy. If you're a therapized man, we love a therapized man.
We love a therapized person in general.
Yes, but even more men, because it's still. I feel like the stigma is definitely breaking with men,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still. I feel like definitely there, like a little bit of like it's not like men are like on social media like us going, we're going to therapy today, and here's what we learned today, and
right.
Or like reposting our favorite therapists, messages of the day, which is definitely, a flow of ours.
Definitely of mine. I'm like, oh, that's good. Post.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no,
what's this lesson that you think you've learned through therapy so far?
So far, man, I've learned a lot just about myself. And it was like the biggest lesson is, I think I could say, is like it's okay to not know who you are as long as you're continuing to learn about yourself, or at least open to learning about yourself. Because so many people, like, if you don't go to therapy and you think you know who you are and you're this person, I was shocked to really realize, like, talking about certain issues and like just getting things out, how much better that made me feel, and like how that changed my perception and my attitude just towards everything else in life. So like one thing, I used to be someone that was like very concerned about like what people thought about me, and I thought I had to maintain or uphold an image of being this strong, independent, like man that I've kind of like portrayed, whether it be on social media or even like acting around friends. And I've learned that that's not something that a lot of people can connect with, and it's hard to connect with people when you aren't true to yourself. And that vulnerability, not that you need to be vulnerable with absolutely every person that you meet, but having someone like your therapist, or it could be even a friend, that you can open up and be 100% vulnerable and know that you're not going to be judged, is a great way to like get all of that pressure out. So then when you leave and you go interact with anybody else, whether it's just hanging out with friends or coaching, like you can truly be yourself because you're not continuously holding on to this image of like, I need to do this, I need to do this, this person's going to think that, or whatever. So just the ability to learn about myself and learn that it's okay to be vulnerable, and that's what can connect people in a better way versus trying to be what I think other people wanted me to be and trying to connect with them that way, because that's never going to be a lasting connection.
Strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll use that as a little clip to promote therapy because, as Jen said, we are both, big fans. And also, I found that in my life, it's not something that you need every day, all day for 10, 15, 20 years in a row. It could be something that you start, pause, start back up, and I've also utilized it as like, I'll relate it to fitness where you have prehab and rehab.
Mm,
Rehab is how a lot of people, I won't say everyone, a lot of people see therapy as rehab.
right.
Something bad happened
Yeah.
and now I need to fix it.
And people wait till it gets to that, like,
Right.
where they're like a mess to go to therapy when really you should be just going for
Just be going. And so I have found more growth in the prehab and in what
Yeah.
you're talking about, like self discovery. What do I really want? If I really get still enough to think about it, like, am I acting for other people to make them happy? And if that's the case, why? And what do
Mm,
I actually want out of my life? And that to me is prehab. So you're like, you are extending this kind of like life cycle of how you feel when you're feeling positive and you're at that like high vibration versus like a lower vibration, and then that is going to negatively impact how you react to something that is bad that happens. So I like that you
100%.
have that. Yeah, but I like how you spoke about that, and I relate that to how I kind of approach personally the process of it. So like you can do touch ups.
Yeah, that's the big thing is I think people are scared of therapy because they think it's like I gotta go every week for the rest of my life. And the way
Right.
I did it is like I started off going every week,
Yep.
and then we got to the point where it's like, all right, every other week, and now once a month, and then
That's
now I can just like text or call
Right.
if I need like a little touch up every now and then.
Yeah.
But it's like a tool. It's always there, and you can use it, and you know how to use that tool now because you've used it before.
Yeah.
But it's not part of like your daily routine. It doesn't have to be like a therapist session every day at 12:30 or whatever it might be. It's just you get to the point where sometimes I don't even feel like I need therapy. I just feel like my life is like very scheduled and routine, and I'll just schedule a session because I need something different to happen. I'll go and then you might not even talk about anything specific, but it feels good to just go and have that option there, knowing that it's a safe place. And then maybe in a month or 2 months, I'll have another session or 6 weeks or whatever it might be.
I like that.
That's yeah. I mean, I'm a huge advocate of therapy. Been
Yeah,
in therapy for like 10 years.
on and off for a decade.
On and
but
off for a decade.
Yeah, but that's great.
Yeah.
I
I'm not. I haven't been in a while, but yeah. So, do you have like a best friend, like Nicole and I call her my wife, even though she's cheating on me with Steven.
Well,
However,
actually, Steven now
well,
has two wives.
and Steven now has 2 wives. So we have
She's
to
wifey
sit
too.
and listen to us talk about
All of
things,
this.
Everything. Yeah.
All of it.
all of it. I don't even care that he's in the room anymore. I'm like, whatever. And he just either will walk out or sit there. Whatever, dude.
It's so good.
It's fine. Do you have a best friend who has seen you gone through like transition of like pre-therapy, post-therapy, or like a friend like say like Nicole? I mean, I know it's different with women like dynamics, but like
Mm-hmm.
Nicole, I feel
Right.
like she's not my therapist, but as like a best friend, I can be very vulnerable with her, knowing that she's not going to judge me. Do you have like a strong friend like that or a group of friends that you feel like you can be that with?
Yeah, I do. So that's one of the things I think bobsled for me was the most beneficial is you go through 4 years of this grind with a group of men who like you spend every day together for 7 months out of the year with each other.
Oh
That
wow.
group that I was with, we ended up getting very, very close, and they obviously knew me from just being married. They knew me before I had a child. They knew me after I had a child. They knew me before I got divorced. They knew me after I got divorced. So when everything was going on, they've seen that kind of evolution go through. I've had a lot of them. Like I still talk to a handful of probably five, six of them every single day, whether it be just through messages or whatever. And they've seen that evolution, and a number of them have just said, like, I know like what you've went through was shitty, but you seem better off for whatever reason. And they know that I've gone to therapy, and we don't really speak about exactly what's going on in my
Right.
sessions and all that kind of stuff. They just know it's like, all right, who you were year one that we knew each other versus now we've known each other for 6 years. You've already changed and you seem like a happier person than what you were previously. And those guys, when I went through that separation period, so my ex told me that she had feelings for another person and that she didn't know what she wanted to do. Like my response to that was, okay, I just need to get out of here for a little bit so I can figure out what I need to do. So what I did, like I'm living in Iceland, and I called up one of my friends from the bobsled team who lives down in Florida and told him exactly what was going on, and he's like, book a flight and just come here. So
Oh, love
two
that.
days later, 2 days later, I was at his house and I stayed at his house for 2 weeks. And this was right before I was going to go do like a weightlifting invitational with Harris and up in New York. So I went down to Florida,
When
spent
you
2 weeks
say
with
Harris,
him.
are you talking about CH? Christian,
CH, yes,
Christian, we love you, miss you. Hi, boo.
yes. Christian's awesome. So I
He's
had that event already scheduled, and like all this was happening right before that event. And I go down to Florida, stay with my friend for a couple of weeks. The whole time I'm down there, my ex and I are talking about what's the next step and what's going on. And that's like we were on FaceTime with each other, and that's when we told each other like divorce is like the only option now. And the first week that I was down there, I was like battling anxiety. I had a full like, first time in my life I actually had like a full blown panic attack to the point where like I thought I was gonna die because I'd never had one
What
before.
does that feel like and look like? Because I don't think I've had one, but I think I've gotten
It's
close.
horrendous.
You've had one?
It was
What does it feel like
yeah,
to you?
I couldn't breathe. Like my heart started going like 200 beats per minute, and I couldn't like I felt like I couldn't take a deep breath.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to suffocate. And my buddy who I was with, he happens to be in the military, and he was like he's seen this before and he's gone through it with some of his people that he served with. So he kind of like talked me off the ledge. And there was a 3 day period after that where it was sleepless nights. Like you go through all because your mind's just racing. You're thinking about like what's going to happen. What is she doing right now? Is she with the guy that she has feelings with because I'm gone? Like you just sit there at night. Like I wasn't sleeping at all. We got on the phone. We FaceTimed about everything, and we had by the time that call was over, divorce was the option. We knew that it was option. And I was at my buddy's house. I go outside, take the call. We hang up. I come back inside. He knew what the call was. He knew I was talking to her. He's like, he asked me right away. He goes, so like, what's going on? Everything's good or what? And I was like, no, we're getting a divorce. And he looked at me like, oh shit, like, like if your friend was to tell you I'm going to do a divorce, immediately you're going to feel that kind of like pain for them.
Hmm.
And when he said that to him, like I saw that look on his face, like he was like, "Oh shit, that's not good." I was like, I actually feel better now because the questions of what if are now gone. I know what the next step is, and for whatever reason, as soon as I knew that like divorce was happening, that night I slept 12 hours, had the best night of sleep that I'd ever had. I woke up the next day like still feeling a way of like this kind of sucks, but I'm the type of person where I like to just know what's going to happen. So as soon as I knew what was going to happen, it was almost like relief for me. So then I got into this state of like flow. Like everything just started getting back to normal. I started feeling like myself. I went up to New York and stayed there for 2, 3 days, was hanging out with everybody, did the events, and like that was like a catalyst for me moving on into the next phase, feeling as good as I can. Because I came back to Iceland and I felt incredible. And people around, I hadn't been in town for 3 weeks at this point now. Everyone in town knows about the divorce because I mean, there's only 18,000 people. Plus, Iceland's a small country, so it's anything happens, everyone knows. And I come back, and everyone's expecting me to be like this divorced, defeated man, and I come back like riding on this high of being surrounded by friends and having a good time, and coming back feeling great. And everyone was kind of taken back and
I'm sure.
like very shocked that that was the stance that I took, because even my ex, she was terrified that I was just going to leave and like shut down and close everything off because I was divorced and I was living in a foreign country. And I came back the exact opposite, which I think was good for her, that she knew like, okay, he's going to stick around, he's going to stay with his daughter, he's going to be here. And that helped make the proceedings from there on till today being as good as possible. So, I mean, it all started with going down to Florida because I had that friend. And I actually had a group, like, I probably had a group of 5 or 6, and they all offered me, like, just come here or come. Like, they all opened up their
That's
homes
so nice.
immediately.
Yeah.
And it ended up being all because I did bobsled 4 years ago.
You just never know where your group of people are going to come from. So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, that group of guys is like, I've been in situations where I've had like a solid group of friends around me, and I feel like that's where I've always thrived the most. And like in high school, I still have my 3 guys that I still talk to, and I've
Wow.
known them since I was 13 years old.
That's
And we
awesome.
still like, we don't, it's one of those friendships where I could not talk to them for a year, 2 years, or whatever. And as soon as we like hang out again, we just pick up exactly where we left off, and it's like nothing ever happened.
That's
So
awesome.
I had that group, and then when I went to university, I joined a fraternity, and I had that group of men. And then there was a period of time where like it kind of separated, and especially like moving out of the country, I no longer had that group. And then going back to bobsled, that group came back, and I felt that kind of like thriving sensation again. So I've always done best when I had like that tight knit group. And I've learned now a better way to like stay in contact and keep that feeling through a longer period of time. And therapy has helped with that. Whether like even a phone call can reignite that kind of feeling of like, okay, I have a connection there. So then you don't feel like you're isolated in a foreign country all by yourself, living
Right.
alone type thing.
Yeah. Going back to like how you felt after you decided, after you got off that FaceTime call and you were like, we're definitely getting divorced. One of Jen's favorite therapists talks about the decision to make to the decision that you make to end a relationship, whether it's marriage or just a long-term relationship, and that what we really should be doing is congratulating that person because
Mm.
you've made a very difficult decision and you've chosen yourself. And that is very hard to do. And too many people, who think that you should just stay in it and work through something that you're not really authentically living as yourself in, um, would be the people that are like, oh no, I'm really sorry. Is there anything you can do to save it?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you sure you want to get divorced? So we are here to say congratulations, even though it's a year later. But it's nice to see that you're like out there and you're moving forward and
Oh,
in a really
100%.
positive way. And the other
Yeah.
thing with your daughter is that what I think is really cool from what you've said so far is that you're actually teaching her that she should take risks because it's always going to be worth it. And if you were reacting to, these now too divorces in a different way, that a lot of people could potentially react in, then what you're showing her is that, you should be afraid to take risks in life
Mm.
because, you could get hurt. So
Yeah.
again, kudos to you for doing that because to your point earlier, every decision or everything that doesn't work out, sometimes it is for the best. A lot of times it is for the best, and you can still create a scenario that works for you out of that.
Yeah. And that was one thing I did say to my ex is I don't remember how long after the divorce or like whatever happened. I think it was maybe a month after like divorce was the option. I remember saying to her, I was like, I'm proud of you for choosing you. Like, and that's kind of
Yeah,
like
no, I
how it
got you.
ended for us.
That's so
I
nice.
was gonna say though, like for her to come to you, she must have had a lot of trust in you to because you don't hear of women coming to their partners or vice versa, men coming to their partners and being like, "Hey, so I have feelings for someone else."
Mm.
Right.
Like
Right.
nobody does. I haven't heard of anybody doing that. So that was brave of her, but then
Right.
also that's a testament to you too, because she must have felt very safe with you to be able to for her to like confide that in you, because most people would probably go berserk
I know.
and be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" So
Right. Well, a lot of that too is, like I said, like our relationship wasn't a negative relationship. Like there was no abuse, nobody ever cheated or anything
right,
like that. It was just the fact that we grew apart, but there was still a tremendous amount, and there still is today, like a tremendous amount of respect for each other.
yeah,
And I think that's probably the reason why that she felt safe coming up and saying something versus like I know people have been married and divorced and it happened in a very terrible way and there was cheating going on and
right,
XYZ. And that's the same thing on my end is I've never thought that I couldn't say anything to her regardless of how dramatic or drastic it might be. I've never felt scared that like I can't say this to her because of how she's going to act because we've never had that kind of like negative type relationship with each other. So it all of that was kind of the foundation for her feeling comfortable, I guess, enough to sit me down and be like, I have feelings for somebody else.
Yeah, that's a lot of trust there. So, with that, and with all of the therapy you've done and all of the great relationships and friendships that you have, I'd like to know, well, A, do you have time to read? And if you do have time to read, what books can you recommend? I feel like you have
Oh,
a good book list. Oh,
I do
and
have. So I'm also
your
like,
podcast,
he does
yes.
a podcast.
Oh,
I
I
do do a
know.
podcast.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've been slacking on that because I've been traveling and doing other stuff. But so the very first two episodes of the podcast, so it actually started prior. My ex and I had a podcast together, and we owned a gym together, and that was kind of like our way of just sitting down and talking and doing stuff. And then when the divorce happened, I transitioned the podcast from what it was into just me, and I just opened up and told everybody what was going on in the first two podcasts. So like the first one was we're gonna like was me talking about my issues with mental health. And at this point I hadn't gone to therapy yet and I was literally crying during the episode telling people like I need help, I need something. And that episode just opening up and saying that I had issues and saying that I wanted to help that issues, I had like nonstop for months and months and months, thousands of DMs and messages of other men and other people who have listened to that episode that was the catalyst for them to go and seek help or to reach out to a friend that they thought might need help or whatever it was. So that first episode is called I'm Not Okay and It's Okay. And then the second episode was like a follow up to that. And this would had happened after going to Florida, after being in New York, after coming back, and after the divorce was the option at this point. And you could I've been told I don't go back and listen to my own podcast, but I've been told it was like you can just hear the tone of the voice and the way that you're talking has changed and everything. So people have listened to both of those first two episodes like nonstop. Like it was no joke, thousands and thousands of DMs. And those two episodes started off with, I think the first episode got something like 15,000 plays. And then the second one was like 10 to 12,000 plays. And it was just prior to that, it was like maybe 700, 800 people listened to it because everyone was listening to it and sharing it and reaching out and throwing it back. Like, so I just, that was also kind of the foundation to realize, okay, like I made the right first move of opening up. Now I need to go do therapy and continue this work and this process of doing that. And then
Mhm.
all the other episodes are just like me talking with my teammates, and we kind of get into like the relationships, and we talk about like more than just sports a little bit, which is cool. But yeah, the podcast is something that's been fun. Book wise, the one book I'm reading right now, and I'm gonna butcher the title, but it's by Rick Rubin,
Okay.
and I think it's called A Creative Guide Through Life. I don't remember if that's exactly what it is, but
Yep.
She's Googling.
I am Googling
it's
it.
so I haven't finished it yet, but it's an amazing book because for me, Rick Rubin is like a modern day Stoic. And if you guys don't know who Rick Rubin is like a music producer. He's worked with Eminem and Jay-Z and everybody in the music industry. Like if you see him in person, he's just like he's bald on top, long hair, just a scruffy beard, and like his just thought process and the way that he speaks and his views on how everything in life is art and everything in life is creative. And that book to me is just like I'm reading this book and everything relates to art and creativity. And so that's been an amazing book to read. But outside of that, I also geek out because I have been living in the gym since I was 15, and I read a lot of like training books and sports science books and all that kind of stuff that people probably aren't interested in. But
Do you know what Enneagram number you are?
I'm an 8.
That's right, you're an 8. We talked about
So
this.
am I.
Totally forgot about that.
I'm an
Okay.
8, and my wing is a 7.
Okay.
Okay.
What wing are you?
I have to look. What I don't know. What wing do you think I am? We don't even barely know each other.
I have no.
You know, in case you didn't
Not
know.
many women are 8s.
That. Also, Jen is a 2. I'm sure you'll find that shocking.
I knew you were because she posts a lot about it. That's
Oh, right. That because she's a 2.
Because of Kyle.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I love that you know that. Yeah.
Well, I forgot we talked about that too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I also looked up the book by Rick Rubin. It's The Creative Act, A Way of Being. And it's a meditative manifesto about what it really means to be an artist.
Oh,
So
you would probably enjoy that.
I know I'm adding it to my book,
I was
my
gonna say.
my reading
It's-
list. Thank you.
And it's like 2 to 3 page chapters. It's
Great.
it literally is just like
That
reading
works for
through
my
his
time
journal.
schedule.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that.
Next important question.
This is great.
Next important question. I can't even say it because it's so stupid.
Come on, I love this.
It's the zombie question.
Oh.
What's the zombie question?
I already know what you're gonna say, but
Okay.
we just have to ask it. Okay. We've also talked about the AI bots, how they freak the fuck out of me. So I just feel like they're just coming to get us. So the AI bots, zombies. When they come, not if, when the bots come.
When they're taking over the world.
When the bots are taking over the world, are you fighting the bots or are you just gonna lay down and die?
I'll fight for sure.
Wait, that's what I knew you were gonna say. Fight.
That's what I said. She was like, night, night.
I'm laying down but my reasoning is because I feel like they're gonna get you anyway. Like they're coming, they're more powerful than humans.
And I said, fine.
So why do you want to keep running?
I'm
and
fighting
and running and hiding and like trying to find
Out of the
He just
out
talked
of
about
the
his
two,
pain threshold.
that's true. I have a high pain.
Right.
But out of the two, if it were zombies, Iceland is probably one of the best places to be because zombies aren't going to get to Iceland.
Okay.
It's just that we're an island in the middle of the Arctic. No, they're not walking over there.
This is true.
Logistics.
Definitely, if zombies are coming, I'm just like, here, bite my neck.
Oh, I'm fighting.
That's a vampire,
100%.
but that's fine.
But they eat you, and then you turn into a zombie. Just take me now. I'll be a zombie.
I don't know, Blaine. Maybe while we're fighting, we can just create this like little.
You can throw me out
We
to
can-
distract.
No, I was gonna say we can protect you. That's what
I might
apes
just
do.
throw my body out and to distract someone. Save you guys.
That is the most two thing you could say. Use me as a human sacrifice. Save yourself. Wow. Okay, moving on to less deathly things. This is
Okay.
It's going to feel really boring now, but we do we do ask some of the similar questions to all of our guests. Tell us about your morning routine. Do you drink coffee? Do you do greens? What do you do? What do you do first thing when
I
you wake up?
so I have two morning routines. I have one when my daughter's with me, and then one when she's not with me. So my daughter, when she's with me, she just sleeps in my bed, and we're very similar in terms of personality, and like she wakes up at the same time I do, and everything. But when I'm with her, we usually wake up and she loves to cuddle. She hates to just get out of bed. So the first 30 minutes of the day is just us laying in bed,
Maybe she's
and
a two.
she
Maybe she
might
is.
be, but she only wants to lay in bed, and just like she'll has her side of the bed, and she'll wake up if even if I'm sleeping, then she just like walks over and falls on me and just wants to be held, and like she has to be touching my skin also like throughout the night. Just I don't know if it's she wants to know that I'm still there or whatever, but she's like that foot has to be touching me, or she has to like put her hand somewhere on me. So if when it's with her, it's the first 30 minutes are just we're cuddling, talking about whatever. We're gonna be like, oh, what are you gonna do today? Go to daycare? Did you sleep good? Yeah. What do you want to do after daycare? We kind of like set the plan, and then I'll go put her out in the living room, turn something on so I can make breakfast and coffee, and then we usually watch a show, get ready, and then I take her to daycare. When I'm by myself, the first thing I normally do is I put music on, and whatever playlist is kind of like on Spotify at the time. And then I have a red light therapy device, like a giant, I turn that on for 20 minutes, drink coffee, listen to music, just kind of like chill and do whatever. And then there's just like, I usually spend maybe an hour at home before I'm out the door, whether it's going to train or coach or whatever it is for the day. So I don't have very specific have to follow this routine. I just kind of have like a flow of how the morning goes.
Like that. You got a red light machine, didn't you?
For my mom.
Oh, I thought you got it for yourself.
No, I got it for my mom.
Okay, we are huge Huberman Lab fans,
Yeah,
and we talked about that. Michaela from Hungry Fitness has one, so you are in that group, and I think I'm probably gonna buy one now that you just said that. I think it's a
it,
sign.
it
I think
is.
I need to get one. Yeah.
I
Okay.
love it too because in the wintertime in Iceland, it's dark all day.
Yeah, they're
So
definitely, and like where Michaela is in
That part,
Utah, it's
right?
like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, like you
Utah
have,
is light
we
here.
do.
I've noticed when I wake up in the morning, especially in the winters, it's dark. When I turn that light on, it helps kind of like get things going for the day and like wake
Mhm.
me up. So that's like it became a routine even through the summer, even though like in the summertime it's opposite. It's daylight 24/7. So, but it's still just part of my routine. I do that. But in the winter times, I notice like it helps tremendously with just being dark all the time and like feeling like I can wake up and get the day going and moving around.
Okay. This is a weird question, but what song has been stuck on repeat in your head this week, if any?
Oh, trying to think what I. So there's a song. No, there's a group from New Zealand called Sons of Zion, and they have a song called One Night, and I listened to that like for the last couple of weeks. That's like I'll start my training session with that on. If I'm in the middle of a training session, I'll repeat it, put it on, like driving around.
Now we're
But
Googling.
I also the reason that like connects with me is because I grew up with like my best friend is Samoan, and I was basically a part of his family. I lived with them and grew up with him and all of his five siblings and everything. So there was a lot of like island vibes, and he and I went to Hawaii together, and it's like that kind of like is ingrained from my formative years. So I have a special connection whenever I hear like any kind of Polynesian music or reggae or whatever it is, like it immediately brings me back to like us just in the summertime hanging out as kids, and that feeling is something that I enjoy. So I've I randomly heard that song a couple months ago, and since then it's just like I listen to it multiple times a week, if not multiple times a day during the week.
I love that. That's very cool.
Yep.
If Steven walks by one more time, we might as well just introduce you guys because he's gonna come. He's gonna come to the Iceland trip. He's on the list.
Oh,
So
100%. Yeah.
yeah, that's happening. Okay, this is where this isn't Jen's favorite part, but we're doing it because we have the time to do it. We'll say a word, and you just tell us the first thing that comes to mind. Okay.
It's not difficult. They're not difficult. This is like
not difficult at all.
Okay. Festivals.
Never been.
Would you like to go?
Absolutely. One of the things I want to do in my life is Burning Man.
Oh, yeah. And the Burning Man outfits we're here for.
The fits.
Yes.
It's the fits for us.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I'm absolutely down for the fits.
Good.
EDC.
Yep, we're gonna circle back to that. Yeah, you can come to EDC.
We go with a big group. It's fun as hell.
It's the second weekend in December, right?
November.
Oh, of November. That.
Okay. Yeah, never been.
Well, we'll finalize outfits while we're in Iceland in October to see the Northern Lights. So
love it.
Great. Good plan. Okay, sunglasses at night.
Oh, don't do it.
Sunglasses at the airport is going to be my next question. I know people will tell me, oh, it's because people are hungover, they're high, but like I don't get like every time I go to the airport and people are wearing sunglasses, I'm like, but why? Like, who cares if you're hungover or if you're high?
So I wear sunglasses all day, every day because I have like a weird sensitivity to light, but not in the airport. No.
Okay.
Like if I'm outside. But
Yeah.
if it's nighttime, it's pointless.
Okay.
And airports.
Nobody's that cool.
I agree. This is why I don't understand the airport situation.
Okay. Situationships.
Baffled. I don't know.
We love that answer.
That's a good answer.
And this is kind of like we honestly don't even need to ask you, but we've asked everyone else. International travel.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I already knew that.
Yeah.
Right.
We knew that too.
That's so great. That concludes our series.
We got rid of the toilet paper roll.
Yeah, I got rid of that for you.
Thank you.
We used to ask people.
Now you have to ask it.
Okay, fine.
It's the dumbest dummy question.
Dummy. We
have to ask it now.
Mainly I used to ask people about the toilet paper roll positioning, if it was over or under. And what we found is that if someone was adamant about the answer.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
It was that it was over.
Well, no, what's your answer?
What's your answer?
I always put it over. But I don't. I also, I always put it over, but at my house, I don't have a roll. I have like a shelf that it goes on, so it just sits there.
All right, so there's that. Well, Jen's answer is, I don't care. I'm a mom. I'm on the move, and I just needed to put it there and keep moving.
I don't understand the debate.
Like, I'm not the type of person where if I go use somebody's bathroom and it's the other way, I'm going to switch it around. But like, if it's just me doing it, I'll put it in that way. I don't care whether it's one way or the other, because at my place, like I said, it's just on a shelf.
Well, and that is how Jen feels, which is why we stopped asking that question. I will ask you now, do you back your vehicle in or do you pull straight in and just deal with it?
I feel like you're a backer in
it. I'll pull straight in unless the spot in front of me is also open, then I'll just go forward, but I won't take the time to back in.
Thank you.
All right.
We're having you on every week.
When can you be here next week?
Same time, same place.
Yeah. We're putting you in the rotation. From one Enneagram 8 to another. Thank you for the leadership qualities you brought to today's interview. This has been so great. Thank you.
It has been. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this has been awesome. We're signing off now, but I think we're going to call this something with, divorce and tattoos with Blaine. So we'll let you know.
We have to have a clickbait.
That is true. That's a great clickbait title. Thanks for having me.